New Comic Book Day is right here again, so let's take a look at the books on the pull list. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is the pull list. It's my weekly video where I take a look at all the books coming out. I'll tell you what's on my pull list, what's on the chopping block, and we'll even talk about some new series debuts that are on the radar for this week of New Comic Books, November 20th. 2024. Yes, it's that late in the year already. First, let me just go ahead and get this out of the way. It's going to be a huge week and I'm over budget. Like, if I do not change anything, my budget total this week would be $78. So this is definitely going to be a culling episode, a paring down of the list, a chopping block extravaganza. I don't know if I'd call it extravaganza. The problem is there are just way too many good comics. And the fact of the matter is I don't have the time or money to read all of the series that I am very much interested in. And yes, we got some tough decisions to make. This is going to be a tough episode of the pull list. And yeah, so these are all the books that I'm going to be picking up when I head to my local comic shop, Fight or Flight Comics in Raleigh, North Carolina, Triangle Town Center Mall. By the way, if you want to join me there, if you want that to be your local comic shop, you absolutely should. Come by. You walk in by the food court, make a left at the Cinnabon, go past Hollister, and there we are, right there on the first floor. It's great. It's great. So Dan, Casey, Max, Jack, Emily would all be happy to take care of you. And so you should go in. And if you subscribe, if you start a pull box, then you'll get 10% off of everything you buy in the store, no matter how great or small. And hey, that 10% discount comes in handy, especially when you got a list like mine. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting with the book that I'm most excited for this week. And if you know me, and if you listened to last week's episode of the podcast, you can guess that it is Milestone Universe, The Shadow Cabinet, issue number 1 from DC Comics and Milestone Media. This is written by Joe Illidge with art by Daryl Banks and Adagun Ilhan. This book is dope. I got to read an advanced preview of this book, and it's dope. If you've been following all of the Milestone Returns titles, Static, Duo, Icon and Rocket, Shadows of Dakota, Icon versus Hardware, Blood Syndicate, all of those will play a part in this series. Now, you don't have to have read all of those or even any of them. They do a great job catching you up on the first page. But if you've been following the Milestone line over the last 4 years, there is a lot of fan service in this book. And Rocket gets a spotlight in issue 1 that it's been a long time coming. I'm excited about this book. And, you know, maybe I'm biased because I'm such a Milestone fanboy, but it's just great to see these characters back. We get an appearance from Anansi that I won't spoil, but like, bro, it looks great. So I'm very excited for this book. I'm very excited for what these 4 issues are going to entail and what's going to come after this. But for now, let's just stick to what's in front of us. Milestone Universe, The Shadow Cabinet, issue 1 is out this week. The cover price is $4.99 if you just grab the cover A by Dennis Cowan. How can you pass up a cover by the legendary Dennis Cowan? You can't. But there are also covers by my man Nicholas Draper Ivey and of Batman White Knight fame, the Sean Gordon Murphy. And for my money, that Sean Murphy cover is probably my favorite of those 3. But that's really just because of the throwback nature, like the callback to those original backing boards that came with those deluxe issues that also came with those posters that are behind me. Listen, man, it's a great time to be a Milestone fan. We are eating. You hear me? Anyway, Milestone Universe, Shadow Cabinet, issue 1. Cover price is $4.99. And I'm buying all 3 covers. Only one of them counts in the budget for this purpose, but I'm buying them all. Now, since we're talking about DC, let's keep going with another book on the DC Comics pull list. This is Action Comics issue 1076. And Action Comics is weekly. And I promise I'm gonna get over that fact, and I'm gonna stop mentioning that this book comes out way too often. Because if I was really that mad about it, I'd stop buying it, and clearly I haven't. Fun fact though, I haven't been to the shop since 2 weeks ago, so I have 2 weeks worth of books to pick up this week. So I'm nowhere near caught up on Action Comics, but I just don't. I don't want to drop it because I don't want to break my run of Action Comics issues. And these are collector problems if I've ever heard of them. But anyway, Action Comics 1076, Mark Waid, Clayton Henry, Mariko Tamaki, Skylar Partridge. It was good when I was reading it. And there's a ringing endorsement. Cover price on it is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up is Batman and Robin, Year 1, issue number 2. Written by Mark Waid. Yo, Mark Waid is writing a lot of books, but written by Mark Waid, this time with art by Chris Samney. I've heard it both ways. Someone tell me how you say it. Anyway, Mark Waid and Chris Samney of Daredevil fame, they've done other things together, if I'm not mistaken, but my first time seeing them together was Daredevil by Waid and Samney. And bro, like, first of all, I don't care who was writing this. I was going to buy it no matter what when I saw Chris Samney was drawing it, because those Battober drawings that he does every year, off the charts. But the fact that Mark Waid wrote it and the fact that it's actually a really good story that they're telling together, I think they're actually credited as storytellers, not like just writer, penciler. But listen, man, I honestly I could wait and I really would just wait and get this in a big hardcover, but it's going to be a 12-issue series if I'm not mistaken. I'm not waiting a year to read this. You got to have this in your eyeballs right now. Batman and Robin Year 1, issue 2 is out this week. Cover price is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. By the way, I usually would save this for the on the radar section, but if you missed out on issue 1, there is a noir edition of issue 1 also coming out this week. So you can grab the noir edition. Again, it would be a no-brainer for me if my pull list total wasn't already so high, but there you go. And the last book on my DC Comics pull list this week is Wonder Woman, issue number 15. Wonder Woman by Tom King and Daniel Sampere. Dog, I told you guys Wonder Woman was one of my favorite comics, period, when this whole run started up. And it absolutely lost steam for me during Absolute Power and doing all the tie-ins and stuff, because it just kind of distracted from the main story that was going on. Well, with issue 14, Tom King and Daniel Sampere were just like, hey, remember when Wonder Woman was amazing? Yeah, we're back to that. And issue 14 might have been my favorite issue of the run. If you're not caught up, because, we are in this whole all-in era, I don't feel like issue 14 was the greatest jumping in point, but you kind of get the idea. Basically, there are dark forces at hand trying to break Wonder Woman. So everything that you know about her, they are using every avenue they can to get at her, to break her down. And all she has shown throughout this entire run is resolve. And bro, this is character defining stuff. And maybe I'm not qualified to say that because I've not read a full Wonder Woman run outside of this. But bro, I love her characterization in this run. I love Daniel Sampere's art. And I love the backdrop that Tom King has sort of set this run up against. All the stuff happening in the sort of macro world in the book definitely feels inspired by real world US politics and events. But I'm down for it. I like how a character can come out with hope in dark times, especially if those dark times remind us of the world around us, because it gives us hope about how we can navigate it ourselves. Anyway, bravo from me to Team Wonder Woman. Issue 15 is out this week. Cover price is $4.99, and I'm grabbing cover A. And that's it. Those are the DC comics on the pull list. If I stick to the list, those will just cost me $19. So, and no cuts coming from me on the DC side. Maybe. We'll see. Let's go ahead and talk about what's happening at the House of Ideas. So at Marvel Comics, we've got Exceptional X-Men, issue number 3. Exceptional X-Men written by Eve L. Ewing, Dr. Eve L. Ewing, with art by Carmen Carnero. At least that's who was on art for issue 1, which is the last issue I read. And it wasn't even that it was bad. I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough to keep issue 2 on the pull list. but I haven't read issue 2. Because of New York Comic Con and because my wife is 7 months pregnant and because of other things, I'm just behind on a lot of reading. And the way this budget is set up, I can only afford to keep books on the list that I'm like absolutely 1000% loving. And that's probably rich coming from me after I just talked about Action Comics, but it's time to start making some cuts. And I think Exceptional X-Men is going to be the first one on the list. And I'll have to wait for trades for that. $3.99 is the cover price on that though. Next up, Miles Morales Spider-Man, issue number 26. So in issue 25, Miles got the vibranium suit. My man Shine Comics is like, I don't like that he just keeps getting suits. Like, what is this, a video game? And I'm like, I like that there's a reason for Miles to be getting like such heavy influence from like basically every black superhero that ever was at Marvel. And I don't know. I guess we just have to agree to disagree. I don't know why I'm having this conversation with like very clearly pointed at one person as I'm telling you guys about this book. But I've been telling you guys for the last 25 issues that Miles Morales is my favorite book at Marvel. And that's still the case. I think, I don't know. If you're going to have the everyman character that Spider-Man is supposed to be, it's like a kid that's supposed to see themselves in a character. Miles is absolutely that character in the way that Peter Parker was, I guess, at some point. So to have Miles be learning those lessons from all of these like great Marvel heroes, and it's not just limited to the black heroes, but you know, they resonate. But for Miles to be like learning from like, be at the feet of everyone that's been great at Marvel before, and he's learning these life lessons, these heroism lessons. It's like, so he's learning all these lessons, and it's like, this is the book that I would want my nephew reading, right? I got an 8-year-old nephew. He's into comics. I'm like, which books would I look out for him? And this is one of them. This is definitely one of them. Miles Morales, Spider-Man, issue 26, out this week. Cover price is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up, speaking of role models, Storm, issue number 2 is out this week. Written by Murewa Ayodele. Did I say that right? Yeah, Murewa Ayodele. I said it right. Okay, and artist Lucas Wernick. So issue 1, I actually just finished praising this run on Twitter and Blue Sky. More on that later if you read the newsletter. But I was praising this run the first issue, because it really put like some respect on Storm's name. And then was like, like, we're not just gonna put respect on you just because you Storm, right? Like, yeah, I get it. You're a goddess. People worship you. Blah, 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 blah. You're regal. Great. You're gonna have to go out and earn this respect, though. There is a challenge facing Storm when it comes to like public perception of mutantdom, mutanthood, mutantness. That is just, I'm very excited to see how she navigates that, especially as her profile is bigger than ever. I mean, she's on the Avengers. She is basically the mutant ambassador to the world. So very, very, very intriguing first issue. I'm excited to see how it continues in issue 2. Cover price is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up is Ultimate Spider-Man, issue number 11. Ultimate Spider-Man, written by Jonathan Hickman. This one does not feature art by Marco Cicchetto. I can't remember who's on the art, but it's going to take me forever to finish this video if I keep looking up creative teams. But what you should know about this issue is that it's the debut of the Ultimate Universe Black Cat. And she is very much a black cat, if that's something that's important to you. Cover price on it is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A as we hit the next chopping block contender, and that is Wolverine, issue number 3. Wolverine, written by Saladin Ahmed, art by Martin Kokolo. Honestly, bro, issue 1 was great. It's in the same boat as Exceptional X-Men for me. I liked issue 1. I haven't gotten around to issue 2, but on a week where my pull list total is going to be $80, if I got to make cuts, I'm going to cut the books I haven't read yet. So Wolverine, issue number 3, is on the chopping block. I'll have to pick it up in trade paperbacks. Cover price is $4.99. So that's it. those are all the Marvel books on the list. Now, if I stick to the list, or if I buy everything that's on my list as is without making any cuts, those would be $22, and we'd be almost at budget. But if I make those cuts, then my Marvel books are only costing me $13. So 13 plus 19 as we head toward our $50 total, we're in better shape if I make those cuts. But let's skip on over to the indies and see how bad the damages really are. First up is I Lie Popeye, issue number 3 from Massive Publishing, written and drawn by Marcus Williams. Bro, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's anime inspired Popeye, and it's the type of thing that like I probably should wait for a trade paperback for, but no, because I watched so much Popeye as a kid and so much Dragon Ball Z as a kid, and I love Marcus Williams' art. Honestly, I don't care if there were words on the page. I would just buy this book just for the art. But the fact is, he's going deep in Popeye archives, like, and bringing characters to the forefront that you didn't know existed, but that have always been there in the comic strip. So really cool stuff happening in that book. Cover price on issue 3 is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up, from Mad Cave Studios, this is Flash Gordon, issue number 4, written by Jeremy Adams with art by Will Conrad. I did just interview Jeremy Adams for the podcast. That issue or that episode is not out yet. It'll be out in 2 weeks. So stay tuned for the Jeremy Adams interview. And we talk a little bit about Flash Gordon and the fact that I knew nothing about Flash Gordon besides that cameo in the Ted movie. And Jeremy Adams has me hooked, as he often does with like literally every book he's ever written. So if you're a Jeremy Adams fan, no reason you won't enjoy this. If you're a Flash Gordon fan, no reason you won't enjoy this. Cover price is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up is The Moon is Following Us, issue number 3. The Moon is Following Us, written by Daniel Warren Johnson with art by Daniel Warren Johnson and Riley Rossmo, about this couple whose daughter basically gets lost in a simulation, kind of like the Matrix, if you will, and they are doing whatever they can to get her back. Yo, what's crazy is like, I'm not caught up on this one either. I haven't finished issue 2. But my daughter, my 3-year-old, for some reason, when we're driving at night, has just picked up on the fact that the moon is following her. And she literally says, "Why is the moon following me?" And then it's just like, every time she says it, it reminds me of this book. And now I can't drop the book because I'm sentimental like that. I am the worst, the easiest mark for a comic book publisher. Like I buy books for the stupidest reasons. But hey, $3.99 is the cover price on that. I'm not grabbing cover A because Riley handles the bulk of the interior artwork. I'm grabbing the Daniel Warren Johnson cover Bs for this whole run. And next up is the next chopping block contender, and that is from Dynamite Entertainment, Powerpuff Girls issue number 5. Powerpuff Girls, I believe it's written by Paulina Ganuso, and they have replaced Paulina as the artist with someone else. But the fact is, like, Powerpuff Girls is one of those books that I grabbed as like sort of a palate cleanser, like between big runs, and like, let me just read a fun book. And I don't need it on the pull list like that. I'm hesitant to drop certain Dynamite books because I don't know like what the trim size will be when they go to trade. But the fact is, like, I'm probably not going to read Powerpuff Girls before I get caught up on XYZ titles that I've listed on the pull list already. So might as well stop the bleeding. Cover price is $4.99. That's how much I'm saving. Next up, a couple of brand new series debuts I'm very excited about. First up being the ROCKETFELLERS issue number 1. ROCKETFELLERS, written by Peter J. Tomasi with art by Francis Manapul. And you might remember sometime around 11 months ago when I was telling you guys about the books that I was most excited to read in 2024, I brought up Ghost Machine. And I think my exact words were something like, I have to be honest with you, the titles that I'm most excited about coming from Ghost Machine aren't dropping today or this week. They're dropping later on in the year. I'm super excited about the sort of Family Odysseys universe that's going to be, or Family Odysseys line that we're going to get from Peter Tomasi and Francis Manapul later on. And finally, we're here. I did not know it was going to take us all the way till November to get to the ROCKETFELLERS, but now we are here and I'm excited about it. I got to read an early preview of this book as well, thanks to Ghost Machine, and it's everything I could have hoped it was gonna be, and then somehow more than that. Like it's like the Fantastic Four meets The Incredibles meets, I don't know, maybe that's the fusion. Fantastic Four, The Incredibles. I love that it's intergenerational and it doesn't feel like a corny kid's book. And it also doesn't feel so adult that I can't enjoy it with my kids. But anyway, this family of superpowered beings basically gets transported across time somehow. And the way issue one ends, you're like, bro, seriously, how did they do that? How did they plan that? They couldn't have planned it more perfectly. And I'm very excited to see how they continue that with issue two next month. But for now, issue one is out this week. Cover price is $3.99. If you buy it, it's probably going to be in your top 2 or 3 pickups for the week. I can guarantee you that. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up, another series debut. This, I believe it's from Mad Cave Studios. This is Spectrum, issue number 1. Spectrum is written by Rick Quinn with art by Dave Chisholm. Dave Chisholm did the art on Miles Davis and the Search for the Sound. And I loved that book. The Ringo Award winning Miles Davis and the Search for the Sound. He wrote it as well. He didn't just do the art. He's a writer artist. This time he's just arting on Spectrum. And it's a book about like our relationships with music. And honestly, man, that's really cool, because if there's anything that Dave specializes in, it is depicting sounds with lines and colors. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how his brain works, but it's awesome. So I'm buying this. Cover price is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And next up is the next chopping block contender, also from Dynamite Entertainment. This is Thundercats issue number 10. Now, if we're following the same sort of issue convention as we did for the first trade paperback or first hardcover, then this should be where the second hardcover ends. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 issues left. I don't know. But I just realized like I'm not going to get caught up to Thundercats anytime soon. The ship is too far gone. I'm like 4 issues behind. And again, my pull list is crazy, and it's not just this week. There are tons of series being added. New series debuts coming. DC's all in. Marvel's going crazy. There's like 100 Marvel issues out this week. Like, I literally looked at the thing and it was 100 Marvel books. I think some of that is reprints, but the point is there's too many comics coming out. I'm not going to be caught up on them all. Thundercats by Declan Shalvey and Drew Moss is a great book, but I just got to make cuts. $4.99 is how much I'm saving by not buying that. And the last book on the list, again, conflicted. The Walking Dead Deluxe, issue 101. This is one of those books that I buy because I want to complete the run. And I think we're now more than halfway done with The Walking Dead, if I'm not mistaken. But issue 101, Walking Dead Deluxe, if you're not familiar, it's reprints of The Walking Dead, but this time with colors by Dave McCaig, if I'm not mistaken. Great colors, great books. Cardstock covers, extras and whatnot, and all the cover A's are by David Finch. They cost $3.99, and I'm grabbing cover A. So that's it. Those are the indie books on my list. If I stick to the list, like if I buy everything that's on my list, if I don't cut Powerpuff Girls or Thundercats, the indie books will cost me $37. If I do make those cuts, they'll cost me $27. And yeah, so my grand total, again, if I don't make any cuts, is $78 this week. If I do make the cuts, even with all those cuts I listed, I'm still over budget. They'd cost me $59 for all of my comics. So if I had to cut more, again, the best thing to do would be to not start any new series. So I'd probably drop Spectrum if I had to drop one of these books, just because typically superheroes are more my bag. But again, Dave Chisholm art, you gotta buy it. I should drop Action Comics. I'm not going to. Yeah, I think $59 is just gonna have to be the total. That's just it. So yeah, we got to come to Jesus meeting coming soon. We do. But it is what it is. I forgot to tell you about new series debuts that are on the radar. Because I'm over budget, I'm like, I don't really need to have anything on my radar. I shouldn't even look at new books right now, but I'm going to do it for you. If you're watching this, you probably already know that TMNT and Naruto are doing a crossover collab. They're doing a book together. TMNT Naruto. It's drawn by one of the guys that used to do Power Rangers. Is it Fernando Presetya? Is it Fernando? Hendry Presetya. Yeah, he did art on Power Rangers, I think year one, and it was really good. So I'm expecting this book to look really good. I don't know enough about Naruto. Naruto? My knowledge of anime begins and ends with Dragon Ball Z and like 2 episodes of Samurai Champloo. Champloo? The point is, I'm not buying the Naruto book. Other number ones out this week. The Question, All Along the Watchtower. Buckmaster B is going to be mad that I'm not giving it a shot, but I'm just going to have to buy DC Infinite Ultra. There's just too many DC books coming out, and my budget just can't handle them. But Question, All on the Watchtower. Renee Montoya is back as the Question, and she's like the sheriff, the warden of the Watchtower. I guess there's like a prison in there, and there's a mystery she's got to solve. Honestly, that sounds really compelling. Alex Segura is writing it. If I was under budget, I would buy this just off the strength of that alone. What else is on the radar? Archie is Mr. Justice, issue number 1. I just saw a comment on some other channel that like Archie comics and like superhero comics couldn't be farther from each other. So the fact that this book is coming out is just hilarious to me. Like Archie being a superhero. So that's that. $4.99 on that. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics number 1. Oh, it's just a tie-in book, or that's included with pre-orders if you bought the physical Marvel vs. Capcom book. Never mind, you can't buy that. Anything else? There are a lot of new series debuts, but none else that are like tickling my fancy. So I'll stop it right there. But those are all of the books I'm buying. Those are some books that I'm not buying. Some books that I got to convince myself I don't need because I'm over budget. And at some point, you got to draw the line. I'm going to have to do a special where I just kind of go and break down my process for taking books off the pull list, because I do this around this time every year. I'm about a month early, but that's just how the fourth quarter has been going. So look for that later this week. Until then, I'll see you guys in another video soon. Stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.